have the honor to introduce today's commencement speaker, a member of the first graduating class from Tuscarora in 2012, my sister, Amanda Presgraves. While I was only in 5th grade, I remember Amanda's involvement at Tuscarora, serving as student council president, a school board representative, and deeply active in numerous clubs as a leader, volunteer, and an all-state swimmer. But what most of you might not know and have experienced over these 4 years was, thanks to her, the creation of our Tussie Terra Spirit section. After Tuscarora, Amanda went on to study kinesiology at the Harvard of the South, James Madison University, where she continued to remain active, being a 4-year Division I varsity swimmer and conference finalist, but also serving roles in multiple clubs from athletic, entrepreneurial, and volunteer organizations. While at JMU, she created the first collaborative, locally sourced, student-run food truck, Fueled. A recent graduate of Wake Forest University with a master's in business, Amanda's entrepreneurial tendencies have led her working on her own businesses. Among these include a meal kit delivery service, personal trainer, rider, food consultant, coach, and assistant development of multiple ventures and projects. Along with this, Amanda currently continues supporting JMU and Fueled as a sustainability manager for dining services at JMU. A swimmer since the age of 4, Amanda maintains both her athletic and entrepreneurial energy, now as a triathlete, active creator, and doer. And now, let's welcome Amanda Presgraves.
Wow, thank you guys. It is an honor to stand before you, not just as your commencement speaker, but also as a graduate at Tuscarora. I take a lot of pride in all the people and the places that built me, and I really hope that you guys will feel no different when you walk out of here today. And now, I personally wish I could shake all of your hands and high-five you, but what I'm gonna have you do, I'm not a fan of sitting still, so if you could just rise and give a high five to the person next to you, and mean it, and say, "We did it." Parents, you too, you guys did it too, and faculty. All right, thanks guys. Now, 6 years ago, it's really not that long ago, I was sitting in the same exact seats as you guys. Indoors, actually, because it rained on my graduation too. And Barton was in the audience, and I couldn't help but think, he told me not to mention him, but as he was reading that off, he's got to be wondering, what words of wisdom does my sister possibly have to impart on me? My sister, who after graduating with a master's degree, lived in our driveway in a trailer. Well, Barton, you are finally forced to listen to me for 10 minutes. And it's probably gonna be a side of me that you've never seen before. And it begins with a story of a universal lesson that I learned right here at Tuscarora. The most valuable lesson that I learned, which is actually a mindset. And this mindset has been the common thread among all my experiences, leading to my most fulfilling moments. I'm gonna share a couple stories with you guys today. And I want you to remember that both you and I, we are always growing, we are always learning, and we are always taking on new. And we're gonna continue to have this open trail ahead of us for which we can travel. But where we go on that trail and on that journey, it begins right here with what we choose to make of it. Now, 8 years ago, I was forced to transfer to the new high school that was built in town. I was forced to leave all my friends and the so well-established life that I actually felt I had and go to a place where, quite frankly, no one wanted to be. And the first day I remember was the hardest. I want you to imagine a place where everyone is pulled in from different schools. No one wants to be there, and it's this really sad environment. And I was walking out of Mr. Fazoo's 4th block pre-calculus class. And while everyone was catching their buses, I waited. And once they left, I just sat in my locker and I cried. And I called my mom and my dad and my friends, and I started plotting my escape on how I was going to transfer out of Tuscarora. And despite what I thought of my 16-year-old independent self, I soon realized I didn't have a choice. But I did have another choice. I could choose to be miserable at Tuscarora for 2 years, or I could do something about it. And this soon became a moment where I could reinvent myself. I was gonna be friends with every single person here, and I was gonna choose to be happy. And not only just be happy for myself, I put it on myself to make everyone else happy too. And this was the shift that changed what could have been 2 miserable years into the 2 most pivotal years of growth and my fondest memories. So how did this happen? Fast forward from that day where I'm crying at my locker to our first football game of the season when school started. And I show up to the student section and I'm all decked out, like I'm all blue, head to toe, like more than I am today, face paint, everything. And I was the only one there. And it was pretty sad. I went home that night and I was determined to give people something to be proud of and that they could bond over, besides just hating school. So I called my grandparents up and I took out a $3,000 loan from them. And I decided I'll create t-shirts for everyone. And I made a Facebook group and I changed the name of the spirit section from Husky Havoc to Tusky Terror. Yeah, it was called Husky Havoc before, guys. But you didn't know that. Yeah. And I made this Facebook group and I was like, hey guys, I'm selling some shirts. And I really I risked failure, like none of it crossed my mind. I didn't even have any friends. I wasn't sure if I was gonna sell these shirts. And before school and then after school at the end of the day, I would sell these shirts out of my Subaru. And within the first week, they were all sold out. And so many of you would say, oh, this must have been the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey. But what this really was turning a seemingly unideal situation into something where I could flip my mindset and see the opportunity that was presented. And if you think that these challenges stopped after high school, hate to tell you, but that was just warming me up for the adversity that I was gonna continue face. And I'm 24, likely gonna continue facing more adversity in my life. And now growing up, let's fast forward to my sophomore year of college. My whole life, I was identified as Amanda the swimmer. Since the age of 6, I've been swimming year round. 4 a.m. every day I would wake up, I would swim twice a day. Swimming was my life, and it was how I saw myself. But that was soon going to change after my sophomore year of college. I learned that I tore both of my hips, and I most likely would not be competing at the level that I was at that point. And now this was the first time in my life that I had ever actually taken more than 2 weeks out of swimming, let alone 8 months. And this was really difficult. There was uncertain times, and it was confusing. However, it was at this time again that I realized, I went back to what I learned at Tuscarora. I could choose to be miserable and wallow in self-pity for 8 months on my couch, handicapped, or I could do something about it. And so before my surgery, I decided to expedite my passport. I was gonna study abroad, and I created my own program. And I'd come back, and I would invest all that energy that I put into physical activity into mental energy. And I began reading and writing, and I taught myself programming, and I did all these things that I never had the chance to do while I was swimming. And many of us have ideas. I started having tons of ideas, but I didn't really know what to do with it, so I just Googled how to start a business. And soon enough, 2 years later, with lots of support from people, a lot of persistence, that's how the food truck came about, where I had this vision of creating opportunities for students, educating them on health, but also bringing food onto campus that supported the community. And again, I only tell you this because it was at this pivotal moment in my journey where I was at a crossroads, where I could choose to be miserable, or I could go down the path of doing something about it. And as with creating the shirts, I identified a problem and I put it on myself to be the one to make a difference. And now these string of events that continue to unravel on my journey all come back to the lesson that I learned here. In class of 2018, if there is one thing that I want you guys to take with you, it's that you can shift your mindset. Like right this second, shift it and begin reframing challenges that you faced as opportunities. One of my favorite studies out there, which has research that's super supportive of everything I tell you about, is on something that's called the growth mindset. And there's been these recent advances in neuroscience that are telling us that our brain is so much more malleable than we actually thought. With practice, we can actually grow new neural networks and connections based off of the actions that we take, such as reframing a situation. And this begins today. Because if there is one thing that you're going to take with you, you have all these accolades and athleticism, but that doesn't always carry with you. The one thing that does is going to be your mindset. We cannot always choose where we are, but we can choose what we do with it. And on this journey we travel, there's going to be times where it's overwhelming. There's challenges, we're stressed and we feel defeated. Whatever it may be, trust me, we're going to face it at some point. I challenge you to take a step back. See what's in your control and shift from seeing that impossible challenge, could be rejection, could be an injury, defeat, and rather see the opportunity that's presented. And I would argue that it's during these times of challenges where we begin to see opportunity. That's actually where we thrive. I'm going to tell you something that probably no one's wanted to tell you before, but despite popular opinion, it actually doesn't matter where you go next. What's going to matter is what you do with where you're at. So class of 2018, you are going to walk out of here today equipped with many skills, leaving with incredible memories, valuable knowledge, but most importantly, your own uniqueness. Now add a growth mindset to that. And I want you to think about something for a second. Think about the opportunity that's presented to you next. And I leave you with one question. What will you choose to do with it? Thank you.